as well. So sometimes we don't get a ton of people actually on the Zoom because they're watching on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and all those cool places that we stream it. So welcome everybody. It's September 30th. I can't believe we're basically the end of the third quarter already, which is pretty, I don't know. I think everything's going fast. I was just saying to someone, March 2025 will be 5 years since the beginning of the doom and gloom of COVID, which is amazing. I can't believe that went that fast. I started doing these calls in April of 2020 just because everyone was locked up in their houses and I just wanted to sort of bring everyone together, and we were doing them weekly back then. Now we do them every other week, or sometimes we miss every other week due to Labor Day and all kinds of holidays and Memorial Day and things like that. So welcome everyone. For those of you new to the call, this is 11 a.m. Pacific. I do see San Diego people on here. Obviously, we have Central Time. Our guest is in Central Time in Kansas City or Overland Park, and Mountain Time at 12 p.m. So welcome everyone. Again, all of these calls are converted into podcasts sometime today or tomorrow. Josh does it, and they will be audio podcasts, so you can listen to them if you missed it, or if it's a really good one and you really like it, it's great to forward to other people in your office. We have a lot of managers that do that as well. So we're small in the Zoom today, so you can definitely ask a question if you want. You just need to wave your hand at me. So September 30th, 2024. So everyone on the call now has already dealt with telling every single person you know that because the Fed cut a half, that doesn't mean the rates went down 0.5%. Is that a true statement? Pretty much everyone spent at least a day and a half to 2 days doing that. I'm sure that was very enjoyable for you. And I'm going to ask Jen about this in a minute, but that was every loan officer I talked to said, wow, that was incredible. What's going on in the market, in your market, and across the country? I think the agents are optimistic. I think they've worked their way through the NAR stuff, and they're still working their way through it. And it's still a little too early to rate on the NAR stuff, meaning exactly what it's going to look like. In plenty of markets, it's quote unquote business as usual. In plenty of other markets, agents are still mildly freaking out about it. So I literally hear when I ask a loan officer, either I work with one-on-one or I'm in a group somewhere, they'll literally say there's nothing in between. Either the agents are completely freaking out, or the other side is business as usual. They don't really care, and they're just kind of rolling forward. That's what I'm hearing. I'm a blessed guy. I work with some of the best loan officers in the country, so that's what some of them are telling me. And again, I know they have very good relationships with their partners, so they have worked through all of this with their partners. Inventory, interesting. The press likes to still make a big deal or hint that prices are either dropping or they're going to drop. Again, I just don't see how that's possible, especially if the rates drop even a little bit. There are so many people. I think I heard a stat that if the rates dropped 0.5%, meaning if it was 6.5 and it was suddenly 6, or 6.25 and it was suddenly 5.75, 5 million people would come off the fence and either be looking to buy a house or sell the existing house they're in and buy a new house. That is factual. We still have the massive numbers, the multi-millions, the 30 plus million millennials that have said that they can buy and they want to buy if they could buy. So with all of the NAR stuff and how brutal the market has been, we've lost lots of loan officers and we've lost lots of real estate agents. And what that means is, yay, if you're still here, give yourself a hand, because a lot of people are still going to be buying houses. And so you're going to be doing those loans and selling those houses. I know we have agents watching today as well. And that is awesome. The other big thing I'm hearing from agents is this is really professionalizing their business a lot. It's making them take it a lot more seriously because they have to have more serious conversations with their clients. And I'll talk to Jen a little bit about this today. Today I have a special guest, Jen Gile with Benchmark Mortgage, coming in hot out of Overland Park, Kansas, which is Kansas City metro area. For those of you that never heard of Overland Park, we'll just call it Kansas City Metro. Jen has been in the business a long time, not as long as me, but she's only 35, so she got in really, really young. The other cool thing about Jen is a college athlete volleyball player, which again, a lot of my clients are military or athletes, and gives her exceptional drive to get stuff done. And so I want to talk to Jen today a little bit about what she's doing in the market, what she's seeing in the market, and a couple of things that I think she does exceptionally well that a lot of you all could swipe and adapt. And what I mean by that is swiping someone's idea and adapting it, which of course is what we all do. Even Jen does it, and your goal is to do it better. So welcome, Jen Gile. Jen, wave at everyone. There's Jen up top. And Jen, tell me what year did you get in the business?
1998. Long time.
Yeah, buddy. 90s, in the 90s. I still think it was the 80s, like yesterday. I don't. It's so weird to me. It's like, wait, wasn't it just the 80s? What's going on? And then I'm seeing these memes and stuff with 2000s music. I'm like, what's that? What's even 2000s music? I got to ask my 14-year-old so I can get an eye roll off of him on that one, on what 2000s music is. But Jen, tell me a little bit. Let's start with NAR, because I like people to hear from super experienced, very busy loan officers, which by the way, Jen is. What's the talk in your market? Is it what I said? Is it a little different? What are you hearing from the good agents, the bad, the medium? Just share in your market and the conversations you're having with them regarding NAR, because I know it's still a hot topic.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's exactly what you said. We either had people that were not worried at all, or we had people who were freaking out. There wasn't a lot in the middle. We started preparing for it a while ago and talking about it with all our agents about how we would be reinforcing our partnerships, which I think it's been a great opportunity for us to discuss partnership and how important the lender is in the partnership versus a lender list or some of the other things that agents sort of get into and are trained when they first come in the business. We are reinforcing to the buyers how important the agent is, all the things that they do. And we're doing that right away, not just showing them the numbers and what it would look like if the buyer had to come up with some buyer compensation, but making sure they understand how important that agent is and that they deserve the compensation. And so for us, honestly, it was an opportunity to reinforce some of the relationships we had already, help calm down some of the people and get them to focus on, being proactive with activity and not worrying about what might happen. A lot of times we think about what might happen instead of focusing on what we can control right now. And we have changed our buyer's presentation a little bit to adapt to that, where, we will show, we get permission from the clients up front now to let the agents know their financials. If they're a tight buyer that maybe is, really low on funds and may need to come up with some buyer comp, we're coming up with creative strategies up front. So it's just more of a team. It should have been a team before, but I feel like it's easier to be a team now because maybe they feel like they need us a little more.
Everyone, that is spot on. It should have always been a team effort, which I've been doing this forever, and it never ceases to amaze me when it's not a team effort. When I work with real estate agents as well and loan people, it never ceases to amaze me. But I think this is a unique opportunity for agents and for loan officers to really strengthen partnerships right now. And any agents listening right now, your loan officer is your best friend and your best business partner you could ever have in this type of market. And if you don't totally understand that, you need to deepen that relationship a little bit. Some of the best loan officers in the market right now are doing exactly what Jen referred to or inferred, and that is they are really making a lot of headway in strengthening and deepening the relationships. And Jen said, she said it quickly, she's changed her buyer presentation. And I'm going to translate that because I know Jen pretty well. Jen is doing a lot more upfront and a lot sooner. And again, a lot of you all have heard me say this before, but over the past year, one of the biggest things that brokers were telling me, sorry, not a real estate broker selling houses, the broker of record, the owner of the office, is that I think my agents are losing a lot of deals because they can't overcome objections quick enough. The big objections are, I have 3%, I can't move, or where am I going to move? Like, what am I going to buy? Or the rates are too high and I can't afford it. Those are the big three. And they found that the agents were folding on that. And so what they started doing was telling the agents to say less up front and get them to the lender partner immediately. So Jen Gile could overcome those objections for the agent partner. Then came NAR. Oh boy, now they have to sign a form that says they could potentially owe their agent representative money if the seller isn't covering that. That's a pretty scary thing to a lot of agents, especially the agents that have gone through their whole career saying, oh, just use me, I'm free, which is insane, but they've done it. Jed's nodding because I'm sure she's heard it before. The agents actually say that if you're thinking that way, you're having a big problem in this kind of market. So Jen, I'm assuming, what you're doing is you're doing, really part of the agent's job up front now, which is great, which is covering that stuff for them to sort of soften the blow, especially for your newer agent partners that are more nervous about that, right? Are you doing that?
Yeah. I mean, most importantly is showing them how their numbers change, usually very minimally, if we need to either increase purchase price to finance in the buyer's comp, or if we have to restructure their down payment so they put a little less money down and keep some of it back to help compensate the agent. And most of the time it's very, very minimal. And so we're alleviating a lot of the concerns the buyers would have before the agents even have to deal with that. So what you said is dead on. We should be involved as early as possible, not just because of all the things we know about, like possible credit repair and taxes not being filed and all the other things that lenders have to try to fix, but simply to help with this part. And not to mention, again, every call we have, every presentation we do, our agents are being reinforced. One of our agents is on here, Shelly. If she's referring us a buyer in our call, her name gets mentioned multiple times. And anything we send them, her name gets mentioned multiple times. We want them to equate both of us together as a team so that they can't leave either of us. And for any agent that's on the call, if you don't think your lender has that power, they do. A lot of times we get calls asking questions about, well, what do you think about this? Or this is what my agent is suggesting I do. What do you think? And our answer is always, your agent is an exceptional agent, top in the market, trust her 100%, whatever they say goes. And that's the kind of relationship you should have with your lender. And, I know a lot of agents who don't have that. It's a difference maker, especially in the new world, I think, that we're in.
I've heard more over the past, I'm going to call it 9 months since the beginning of the year. I've heard for the first time since I've been doing this, which is just a little bit of time, just a little bit longer than Jen, agents saying, I don't care if our kids go to the same school together. I don't care if we go to the same place of worship. I don't care if we go to the same gym. I'm done with all of that crap. I'm only working with good professional loan officers that know what they're doing. It was one of the first times I really started hearing agents vocalizing that to me, because a lot of times when I'm talking to agents and going deep into a conversation, and they might sort of bump and grind their way through transactions, but they work with the same loan officer for forever and their next door neighbors and whatever. Each deal is too precious now to mess around with that, to not leave the client with an incredible experience. And the agents are like, okay, we're done. We're moving to professional loan officers only, which is for the most part, pretty much who's left now. and a lot of loan officers are still getting out of the business. I was kind of hoping the rates would maybe stay up just for a little more, to not give some unprofessional loan officers and unprofessional agents a breather and let them just go ahead and get out. Jen, what I really want to talk about, what I see that you do really well, is Jen is very, very deliberate on staying in front of people she has done loans for and staying in front of her agent clients, her referral partners. And it's not what she does that's so unique. It's more how she does it. But really, the most important thing, and I see this all the time, she's very consistent in what she does. She doesn't miss. And Jen, first of all, talk a little bit about how you use video. Are you embedding in emails? Are you purely putting it on social? When you do video, tell everyone what you do and what you get the best results from, as you can tell, because I know you're good at really measuring what's going on.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to say that I had been pushed to do video years before I actually did it. And I'm kicking myself for not doing it for all the reasons that many of you maybe don't do it. No one cares what your face looks like. No one cares what your voice sounds like. It sounds like I just smoked a pack of cigarettes. I did not. This is my voice. But I hate seeing myself on videos. And so for years, I avoided it. And I also felt a little bit like, oh, people are going to get it and think, oh, she loves herself, or why is she sending this stuff? I just started sending them. It's just under 3 years. We're coming up on 3 years in January. We just decided to do it and started doing it. And it has had a huge impact because people feel like they know you more when they hear your voice and see your face, regardless of what it looks like or you think it looks like. And they connect to you at a totally different level. So two sets of videos we do. We do a weekly agent video. It goes out to all of our agent partners and many of the top agents in Kansas City. And what's been interesting about this,
Jen, how does it go out? Is it email, text?
Email.
Just tell me how it goes out.
Yep, sorry, it's embedded in email. And what we do is we always have video, we always have a graphic, and we always have words, usually 2 paragraphs, because some people are not going to watch the video. Some people only look at the picture. Some people will read and not watch the video. I want to give them as many methods, options of media that they might look at to get the message that we're sending. Our open rate is actually pretty good, and our unsubscribe rate is really, really low. And we send it to like 4,000 people. And in the beginning, I'm like, I'm not going to look at the unsubscribes. I don't want my feelings hurt from all the people who are like, no, thank you. But it's been really, really low. And it's partly because we are consistent. And 2, we really work hard to try to come up with topics that we find will be relevant. And some of them are not necessarily mortgage related. I'm not constantly putting out products. I'll talk about marketing things that we've done that have worked. Or recently we've done things about how the election can impact the real estate market. I'm pulling it from all different sources, so it's not always stuff I have to come up with, but it goes out every week, usually on a Thursday, because we found that to be the best open time around 10 o'clock. So
wait, hold on. 10 a.m. on Thursdays is when you send the email with the embedded video. And I want everyone else to make sure, if you're listening, everyone talks about video all day, every day. Jen said something very important. There's video, there's a graphic, and there's words. And what she said is she wants to give the reader or listener or looker any way they want to take it. And it's such a huge message. I want to make sure everyone heard it. When you make these videos, okay, and all you're doing is just giving them the video, if people don't feel like watching it, yes, you got flash, so they saw your face. Oh, there's Jen, but you got nothing else in there, nothing, okay? And to give them the words, okay, there's so many people, Jen, that if you just randomly called 100 people, 50 of them are going to be like, yeah, Jen, I don't watch the video, but I always read it. I mean, it's that high. They'll be like, yeah, no, I can read it faster. It's very common. So I want to make sure everyone heard that. And then Jen, just to give me an example. I should know this because I get all your stuff and I look at it. When you say a graphic, is it just a cool picture of what you're talking about? How do you choose the graphic?
So I have a lot of graphics that are already done in Canva based on different topics that we've marketed in the past. A lot of times it's just a Canva graphic, and it will have an image and then usually just very few words. Again, depending if it's a product, there'll be a few product specifics in there, not overwhelming. If it's stats, like again, we just did the election one. We did 2 sort of back-to-back political motivated ones. I pulled it from some NAR stats, from Keeping Current Matters presentation that our company had. Lots of great info. And the graphic, a lot of people end up sharing. So even people that don't necessarily work with us right now, they'll email back and say, I love your content. Thank you for sending this. Do you mind if I share this graphic? We've had people actually share our entire email with their database. And sometimes they're people we work with, sometimes they're not. But what we found is that the amount of people that trickle in to come work with us in the future is pretty great. Again, we're coming up on 3 years. So I could probably tell you there's about 50 agents that have wanted to work with us, wanted to have coffee, sent a client. from the videos. And that's just 50 that I'm tracking. There's a lot of people that we haven't engaged with for whatever reason. We
And
probably
Jen, I just want to make sure everyone knows when they're listening. Jen, those of you that know me well, Jen operates using crush group theory, meaning she is a relationship loan officer. She is developing new relationships or deepening existing relationships all day. This is not how Jen does her business, by the way. This is
no.
Jen's, what I'm going to call virtual billboard. Really, it's her way to stay in front. And a lot of times, loan officers will ask me, Jen, a lot of times, hey, Joel, I'm doing all the stuff you're having me do. How can I stay relevant and stay in front of some of these people that I would call genuinely division agents that you're definitely not talking to? Because let's face it, Jen, of those 4,000, 3,800, whatever, are all division, or all I would call division, or whatever it is. Not even that many. There's not even that many division. But that just means, for those of you that don't know me, Jen is not actively working with them at all. She might know them because she's been in her market forever, and they might know who she is because she does events and things like that. But I wanted to make sure everyone knows this is not how Jen does her business.
No.
This is how Jen enhances the business that she's doing and creates new opportunities to then create relationships from this. Yeah, I wanted to just clarify that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've never been the person who's like, hey, do you want to grab coffee? And there's nothing wrong with that. What has happened for us is because we're constantly trying to put out educational content that helps them, they reached out to me for coffee, which is a great, and to be clear too, this email is going to our partners that we work with already, because there's lots of stuff that I want them to have so they know what to market and they know what to put out there. The hardest part about all of it is coming up with different topics every week. It's like when you go to make dinner, trying to figure out what the hell you're going to make every night. It's exhausting. So I did see a comment in there. We do it through BombBomb, and we do keep a running just Google Team Drive in which I have video ideas and videos we've done and videos I've seen other people do that I love, because if I don't write it down, it's gone. And again, coming up with so many things every week is hard. Any of you that are on here that want to see the content, I'm happy to share. Joel can put you in touch with me. So.
Yeah. Or you can, Josh, you can put Jen's email in the chat. The other thing I wanted to make sure you heard her say, she said it really fast. Okay, really fast. She said, some of my partners take it and send it to their database. One of the big complaints when I'm talking to agents, okay, about, there's Jen's email, by the way, in the chat. When I'm talking to agents about doing specific types of image marketing is, I don't have anything. What am I going to do? I have to sit and figure it out. I don't have time, yada, 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 blah, 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 dot, dot, dot. Well, if you're a lender partner with an agent and you all are in a partnership and they're able to actually, you're putting out content that your partner can actually use for their CRM, or their, Jen used the old person word like me, database, for their CRM, that's huge. And your partners really appreciate that. So it doesn't have to be all content like that, but I would say if you did, if Jen's doing it 4 times a month and one of them was shareable, that would be massive. Because if an agent did something like that once a month, it would be very big in their CRM, actually gave people something of value. Jen, the other thing I'd love you to talk about, if you don't mind, is Jen also does events very consistently. Again, when she's doing these events, I'm just teeing this up because we're going to run out of time. These are not events where she's like culling for cold relationships. This is her giving back into the local community, the local real estate community, constantly doing live in-person events, which agents love. Okay. She does it with partners. I'm going to let her explain that. And the goal from these is, yes, of course, she wants to meet new agents, but it's just to stay relevant and stay out there so that when she does meet them, they're like, oh, you're Jen. You're the one that does all that cool stuff. Okay. Jen, give them just a quick, you have a little group. Do you do 6 a year? Do you do 4 a year? Tell everyone how big they are. Like, these are not like 3-person events, and how you do it, please.
Yeah. So we do 2 types of events. We do some smaller classes that are just in my office, and that's usually 25 to 40 people. And they are on a bunch of different topics. It's a more close-knit group. We usually bring in light food and snacks, and I can physically talk to every single person there. Those are very powerful. Don't get worked up about the next thing I'm going to tell you, which is where we have huge events, and it's overwhelming for some. The small classes I've done for years and years. It's how I grew my business. In my opinion, agents can refer to us a lot easier than we can to them. Nobody wakes up wanting to apply for a mortgage. They want to go look at houses. And so for me, it was just a give back. It was a way to give back. Our other events are larger events, anywhere from 250 to 400 people, typically all real estate agents. We usually do 4 to 6 events a year. Most of them are educational, but we'll throw in like a happy hour and something in there as well, just because some people don't want to come to the education. They just want to come to the social. I do a panel as one of the types of events where I'll pick 4 or 5 top agents in our market that I know that are great speakers that will openly share with their peers. That's the one that's probably the most heavily attended, because they're basically like celebrities of Kansas City coming to open up everything they do to the agents. And we usually sell out the room, 350, 400 agents at that one.
Do you moderate that panel?
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
I know most of these people pretty well, and I always do pre-interviews with them, just to make sure I can pull out stuff that I know they're great at. And we very selectively pick, like, this one is great at farming. This one is great at their database. I'm not just randomly asking anyone. It takes a lot of time. It's a lot of time for me, but
who do you do it with, Jen? Who are your partners? Who do you do it with?
Yeah. So I used to do these solo, but I decided a couple of years ago, like, hey, power in numbers. And so we formed a group, and we have a moving company, an insurance agent, a title company, people that are all blessed in our community by real estate agents. And so we do it together. They help with the financial contribution. To be fair, I do a lot of the work, but they invite their people as well, and it's a give back for them. So obviously, the more people talking about it, the better. We also do bring in guest speakers. So we did one in January this year that was super powerful. We brought in the mayor of the largest town in our county. We brought in, we had Dan Habib talking on video about, forecast for interest rates and the economy. We called it an economic summit. And then we brought in a Kansas City guy whose main job is bringing big business here. He's the one that got the Super Bowl draft and the World Cup, and that one was full too, because they want to know what's going on in their community. So if you help bring them that information, again, they can take a lot of that and then share with their people. So it's just providing value. The number one thing that's come from this, guys, yes, we've been introduced to new people. Every time I call, 95% of the time I call behind a buyer's offer, the listing agent says, oh, I know you. I love your stuff. I come to all your events. And we win. My buyers win at a higher level simply because we are trying to provide so much value to the community. And they've heard me speak, so they know I'm not an idiot.
Jen, as we run out of time, tell everyone, what are you doing? What do you do every day to keep your head in the game? It's been a tough, year and a half. Obviously, I get to talk to you all the time, but tell everyone what you do to keep your head in the game. I mean, we all know it's going to get better because it can't get any worse. It's only going to get better. We know it's coming. What do you do every day? Just share some things. What time do you get up in the morning? Jen has 2 boys, 14 and 12, right? Am I right?
Yep.
14 and 12, 14, 12. So she's busy mom, and lots of sports. But what do you do in the morning? What time do you get up? What type of stuff do you do to keep yourself centered and keep your head in the game so you don't lose it?
Yeah. And the last year of my life was the hardest year I've had, just FYI. And so the number one thing for me there was relationships. Joel teaches relationships. It happens to be one of the things I'm best at. I really, really went deep with my relationships, not just agent partners, but friends, because friends can bless us too. And they kept me motivated. They reminded me who I was, because I think sometimes it's easy to forget. Even if you're, like Joel knows this, I always think I'm not good enough, or he'll hear me call myself a loser. And it's because I'm so hard on myself. And I think a lot of us salespeople are. So you need to have those testimonials from the people that are in your life. I get up early. I have to get up before the kids. I have to have that downtime with no one talking to me. Sometimes I just sit there. Sometimes I read. We've got a sauna, so I've been trying to go in the sauna because supposedly it's good for you. I try to read. I try to walk. I'm not a huge fan of fitness, but As I get older, exercise is important, and I try to walk and do like some yoga at least 4 times a week, which makes a huge difference with the mental. But relationships, like find your people that love you. And on the days where you want to go to bed, just call them and they remind you how great you are. And then you're like, oh, I can do this. I am pretty good at my job.
That's a great answer. No one's given that answer before, and I like it. It makes total sense. Everyone, thank you for tuning in today. Jen Gile, her information is in the chat. You can find her very easily, Gile, in Kansas City, very easily with Benchmark Mortgage. She loves to share and loves to swipe and adapt. And I'm sure if you have cool things, she'll share with you. And thank you, everyone. We'll see everyone in 2 weeks. Jen, thank